Welcome in to your Wednesday edition of Browns Phone Breakdown, where we're going to cover the NFL trade deadline. We have every deal made with a little bit of a reaction to those, and then analyzing the one Browns move for the day and whether or not they should have been more active and all the analysis tied to that. So, a lot to get to. We also have some rookie midseason reviews to discuss. I'll get to that as well. Otherwise, jam-packed episode. Buckle in. Big thanks to our sponsors, FanDuel Sportsbook and Monfredi Dental. Let's get started right now. Guys, what's up? What's happening? Welcome in. It is November 5th. We hope you are doing well. I found today to be a little funny, Brad. We had our recording kind of a day early, trying to get out in front of behind enemy lines, and had Scott Mason, who covers the Jets for Play Like a Jet. And we went through the whole game, talked about everybody. It's very extensive. And it lands on 2 hours later. The Jets make two of the biggest trades at the deadline, and we'll discuss those. But like, the NFL's trade deadline was nothing until it was something. The Jets made a choice to go all in on moving defensive talent to try to restructure their organization to get more picks for offense. And it's not a bad choice given what's coming in the next 2 years here of opportunity to really improve their offense. They've taken two young offensive tackles, so they're really going to be focusing up on skill position guys, probably wide receivers, trying to get more dynamic there. And it's an interesting move. I am interested to see how it plays out. Like I said, we'll talk about all those deals. The first thing I want to do, though, is get into the Browns solo trade of the day, which none of us were really anticipating. And then, obviously, Brad, we can just discuss whether or not we're surprised they didn't make any other moves in a quiet day out of Berea. So I know you have that trade in the details, and then we can discuss the bigger picture.
Yeah, so of all of the guys we talked about trading, and I think that was your opening drive today, right? Trade players expected. It was Joe Troyenka. I'm glad that I don't have to say his name anymore. And a seventh to the Bears for a sixth, and that was unexpected. The compensation is kind of what I figured would be par for the course on a lot of these players if they were able to flip them. Here's the thing. People were really upset today. People were angry, and I understand people are angry at where the Browns are at, but I think getting angry at the result of this trade deadline is a little bit of I don't know that they really had a lot to offer.
Right.
Njoku, Shelby Harris, Jerome Ford, Wyatt Taylor, Rayshawn Jenkins. I doubt that they had a lot of teams expressing interest in any of those guys, really. So I don't know. I guess it didn't shock me that it was quiet.
A lot of people wanted moves, and there were not that many moves today. There were bigger moves. I understand the Cowboys are 3-5, but they obviously feel like they have a quarterback and they have a wide receiver, and they need something specific defensively. And usually, you don't normally, today is evidence, see a bunch of moves hanging there for teams to make on the offense explosion chart, right? Rashid Shaheed was traded today, who I like him a lot, but the player getting a fourth and a sixth, and where that player fits in with the structure of this current offense, there's I would be interested in that deal, but I also don't think it's a deal that is crippling to not make, to me personally. So not much offense talent is moved. It's defense talent being moved. The Browns' two options in the marquee world of this is an older version of Sauce and Denzel, a man-based cornerback.
Yep.
Probably a little less complete overall, who's approaching 30, who's not going to get you 2 first-round picks. I would not imagine the Jets went into the day we have to trade guys on defense. But when you get offers like these, it's hard to pass them up. I think there's probably some offer out there like that for Miles, but you have to understand, even though there's the potential to make the trade, it does bring, because his contract is newer than what Quinnen Williams is. There's a lot of baggage that comes with that deal, and it's probably we need at least 2 firsts. And even Q didn't get 2 firsts. He was a second and a first. So I'm thinking it's probably a world where they didn't get that offer for their guys who are a little older. And I don't even know if they would have wanted to come up. Like the Jets made a big choice here, like a big choice. Like it could work, it could not work. But those are big, huge moves built around giving up on Pro Bowl, all pro talent to go chase something else. I don't have the answer for whether this is going to work for them or not, but I also understand it's not everybody's favorite thing to do. So just to me, it's like if you wanted the Browns to move Denzel and Miles, which I would say so much of the fan base is against, like take a step back and understand the others that were moved and what they received versus what you might have received for a similar structured trade is the kind of the angle for me.
Yeah, that is the angle for me too. And it's like, with Sauce and Quinnen, and I get what they're doing. And I heard Albert Breer talking, and he was like, he was kind of like, I valued the Jets roster as kind of a talented young roster, missing some key pieces, but apparently internally they felt further away than some people nationally did. I think a lot of people looked at that roster like, hey, they're not that far off. They're a quarterback away. You know what I mean? From competing a little bit more. And clearly that's why it's a bold move, right? For them. And it's also kind of hard. Like you used the number 3 overall pick on Quinnen Williams. He's only 27 years old. You got a second and a first back, like neither of which are going to be worth what you took him with. And you're trying to get a player of his caliber back. Like that's kind of like where I start to question it. It's like what you're trying to recoup while your need may be on the offensive side of the ball. And that's where that stuff changes, where quarterback comes into play and stuff. But like you're trying to recoup players of Sauce's caliber in Quinnen's caliber. So that's where it kind of gets like, what are we doing here? And I understand with the drafts coming up that it could work out for them, but they clearly made this bold decision to go full tank all the way in on this.
And they got great offers. Like to be clear, like great offers.
Yeah.
It's hard to turn down 2 first-round picks for any DB. It's hard to do that. And they got a young wide receiver in A.D. Mitchell who's like, I understand AD's not flourished there, but he's athletic as all hell and he's young still. So there are some deals where it's like, this is too good to pass up. And they probably didn't get that version of a trade from some other places. And yeah, I don't like, to your earlier point, I think if we're watching Wyatt, we're watching a lot of these guys and like, I think there's probably a couple that could help other teams. Like Malik Collins could help another team.
Yeah,
I certainly think that Shelby Harris could help another team. There's some guys who could help other teams on that list, but there's like, hey, we'll give you next to nothing for them. I'd rather keep Malik Collins for another year. If you're getting next to another, you got another deal, a year on the deal that's functional for a very good football player, we'll just keep him, right? And then like on top of that, some of the others, Jerome Ford, Rayshon Jenkins, even Joe Tryon-Shoyinka to an extent, who we didn't really mention, but like Wyatt Teller's like, we have those guys in house already. They're not playing that well that I need to go get them and pay the rest of their salary for the year. So I just don't think the appetite for Browns players is what folks hoped it would be. If you think they're playing poorly, other player personnel groups, David Njoku's in that group, notice that they're not playing very well. You don't want to go get rentals, David, Wyatt, and some others that like, it's just not worth it. It's not worth it. And there's also the Browns playing a little bit of the comp pick world here too, where they could get some picks back for some of these guys at the end of the year if they go sign in other places. So there's some of that at play. I think that I would have loved to have seen an upside swing on a Shaheed or somebody, but at the same time, if those opportunities aren't presented to you and, they're trying to maybe do right by Shaheed, if you're the Saints, hey, we'll send you back out with Clint Kubiak a little bit. And maybe the Browns offer is, there's more of that stuff than we want to accept there. So I'm not saying the Browns did something great here by sitting out, but I'm also not ready to crush them because I don't think there's something obviously missing from this.
Yeah, I just can't crush them today. We can crush them for a lot of things this year. I can't crush them for this trade deadline activity because honestly, I don't think what they had to offer was worth what people want to make it out to be in general. They're just, they're guys that we've been down on all year, We're asking other teams to, come off of picks to give him. It's not going to be great outcome.
Give us your
And
fifth
then,
round pick for a guy we think is playing really poorly. So that's just its fantasy world.
Yeah.
Fantasy world. But there are other
so,
slew of trades. If you want to go through the trades, that we can talk briefly about each one. If you want to hit on some of them.
I would say too that like in comparison to the Jets' plan, and they did get great offers. The Browns financially are in a different place as well. Like the
100%.
outcome of trading, away Denzel and Miles would cripple them financially for years. So
yeah, they don't have the anchor
difficult.
weighing them down that Watson is. And I understand there's ways to get around some of Watson's damage, but like that's scar tissue like in a knee already, and you want to add more scar tissue. Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, I think you can kind of miss me with that. They're not 1-1. That's a big part of like, I've had some people say, would you rather be the Jets or the Browns right now? And it's like, you could pick apart the rosters and you can go through it, and you can, it's to me, the assets for the Jets, the clearance and the cap is in a healthier place. And I understand that there's some spending power that you do get from the structure that Jimmy Haslam uses, but the flexibility is just greater. It's just greater. So, I can't wait to see whether the experiment the Jets are going with works and how they invest those picks, because they're not the most trustworthy with them either. It'll be a fun experiment to side eye. And I'd imagine they're going to continue to finish last. The Browns will finish last in the division this year unless something drastic happens. And they'll probably run into each other again next year as well.
Yeah, and I think that and I'm going to write about this, or wrote about this a little bit, but like, I think that people will compare the strategies from where they were at. You know what I mean? And while they're not on equal ground, and I think you can evaluate both differently because of the financial ramifications and because of the age of the players and whatnot, I do think that some teams around the NFL will just watch both from a distance as kind of like a case study.
Agreed. It's going to be fascinating to see how many of those defensive traded assets turn into offensive attempts for them.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, other trades. The Cowboys, this is wild what the Cowboys are doing, and we can talk about this here, but the Bengals traded Logan Wilson to the Cowboys in exchange for a 2026 7th round pick. So we watched the Cowboys the other night try to come back. Was that last night? Yeah, or 2 nights ago. Try to come back on a very well played game by Jacoby Brissett and the Cardinals offense.
Shout out Jacoby Brissett. Would have been a really nice fixture to have here for years.
Would have been nice. Playing good football. Got named the starter again this week.
He is playing well.
Yeah, so they are, the Cowboys lose that game after trying to come back. They couldn't stop anybody. Their defense is really, really bad. And they got a ton of injuries on the back end. So they add Logan Wilson, and then they add the Quinnen Williams pick, which we talked about, which they traded away a second in 26 and a first in 27. And that 27 draft is projecting to be like a real draft full of talent. So
it's their pick. It's not the Packers' pick.
No,
just for the record.
Their decision to push in on 2 defensive players to try to fix a defense that looks unfixable to me by 2 players.
Me too.
With future assets like that seems wild. Seems like a wild decision.
I agree. I think at some point though, when you're in the quarterback's prime, the way they're in it, and CeeDee Lamb, and you kind of have to chase it for fair and unfair. And that's the world they're living in. And we'll see if it works. I wouldn't be mad if I was a Cowboys fan, because you never know what picks can be. And like Quinnen Williams is a destructive force on the inside, not as destructive as obviously what they traded away, but a very good football player. Very good football player. They still have 2 first-round picks this year. We'll see how they use it. But I mean, outside looking in, it's like, oh, that's a lot. But again, this isn't like you got the best of Dak for like 2-3 more years, and you got to try it. So I respect both sides of the hustle here.
Yeah, absolutely. It just feels like, I don't know. It feels like a little bit of a lie. I don't know if 2 players can make that much of a difference on that defense to impact.
I would agree with you wholeheartedly on that. The Dallas isn't doing anything this year with this trade. It's what they're able to solve in the offseason, having added Quinnen and the picks and all of that to make that defense respectable again.
I'll listen to that. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. All right. The Raiders traded away Jacoby Myers to the Jacksonville Jaguars in exchange for a 4th and a 6th. Would you have been interested in this trade if you're the Browns?
No, not for Jacoby Myers. It didn't. Not the type of play that moves the needle for me that much. I understand the Jags are just looking for more respectable wide receivers. They probably lose the game against the Raiders. They may not do this sort of thing, but they need more. They're up against it with some injuries. Travis Hunter, obviously. So I think they probably overpaid here personally, but wide receivers don't come cheap, man. And some of it's tying into how much they're paying him the rest of the year and stuff like that. So interesting deal, but Jags feel like, and they should, the rest of that schedule's manageable. They can go after this thing. And plus the Colts just lost. So we'll see.
Yeah,
I don't believe in that team very much, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Then we talked about the Sauce trade, which is an epic haul. And I saw a couple of publications already calling out Ballard for making this move.
I just don't love moving 2 first-round picks for a non-pass rusher or a dynamic offensive weapon. Like receiver, maybe like an elite tight end. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's hard. I understand corners are valuable, but there's so much variance in performance year to year with corners.
It is.
It's a swing and a half, man. Whew, yeah. 2 first-round pick, and you got to take. He's owed a lot of money. He's going to help them, but I'm like, man, you can only control so much at corner. So we'll see if it works out. I wouldn't love that trade as a Colts fan, even though they got a good player. I just feel like they gave up a lot, and obviously given up on Mitchell too. So
Mitchell early. Who was that? Was he a 1st-round pick as well?
I think AD was a 2nd-round pick, Texas kid. So and again, he's a throwaway. The Colts fans are going to be like, oh, I don't really care. He hasn't performed, and that's fine. I think it's all a matter of perspective on that. I just think 2 firsts is a lot, but it still might be something that works out for them relatively well. Ballard has always been very pick protective, but they think they got a real team this year, and they should be. I have no problem with the team thinking they're in a championship window and making a push. I just don't. I think it's too much than I would have liked for a corner personally.
Yeah, I agree. The other move at wide receiver here is the Rashid Shaheed one that you mentioned earlier to the Seahawks in exchange for a 4th and a 5th.
I love Shaheed, man.
Yeah, you would have liked this one, right?
I would have done this personally.
Okay.
I would have done this. I just think he's a dynamic player, man. He can run like the wind. He can run under the football. He's proven to be one of the best 20-plus yard deep threats in the league quietly. As a UDFA who's just taken off year over year and caught, has struggled with health a little bit, staying on the field, obviously, but I would have done it. I would have done it, but I also understand maybe that trade didn't even get to them because this is a connection call and all of that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it does seem like a connection call. Well, it is, right? With Kubiak.
Right.
And I would have interest in him too. I wonder if, stepping back from it a little bit, you want to add wide receivers if you're the Browns, but do you want, I don't know if you want to add them right now. Because I would have been
interested because I think you and I have been talking about for a month. I think they're going to draft a quarterback. Yeah, he's still young enough, and it's not a crippling set of picks to give up. So I would have been. I'm not heartbroken they didn't make this deal, but I'm I would have been in on it. I would have liked that. That player would have helped. But also, for the rest of this year, your point's right, Brad. Are they getting the football 20+ yards in the air to him? They got a guy launching it. It's hard to see that. But I'm worried about
the rest of the year. Yeah.
What is if you're picking the 3rd or 4th quarterback, maybe you're picking Ty Simpson or whatever, Dante Moore, whatever it is, and it's I'd like him to have someone
to get done in the offseason. Yeah, correct. That's a good point. All right, we discussed Quinnen Williams. We discussed Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, and the other one was I think right at the end towards the end of the trade deadline. Last ones. The Saints traded Trevor Penning to the Chargers for a 6th and 27.
Rough pass block. Very physical dude who started out with some really impressive run game finishes his rookie year. Northern Iowa guy, hyper athletic, first round pick in 2022. He was like top 20 if I recall, and a little bit older. I think like 22 or 23 at the time of that pick, and a lot of pressure. He couldn't stay healthy his first 2 years, and then didn't play the first 3 weeks of this season either. But his one full season in 24, he gave up 54 pressures. So he's certainly not a non-starter. Everyone, and I think when you have the Chargers scenario where they're like, we've lost Rashawn Slater, an elite tackle. We just lost our other elite tackle with just the worst injury luck here. Something has to shake loose. So I get it.
Yeah.
I don't like Trevor Penning long term. I certainly feel like, obviously, and it does seem like he actually has been playing guard this year. Now that I'm looking at it, he played most of his first 2 years at left tackle, and then then he went to right tackle in 2024, and then he was playing left guard. So I don't know if they plan to bump him back out to tackle. That to me makes the most sense.
Yeah.
But this is more likely just a Band-Aid thing. They're trying to get through the year to get their tackles back. But I don't hate it. You should do this if you've dealt with the injuries they've dealt with and some of that stuff. So
Browns made a similar deal earlier this year with Cam. You're living in this world where your tackles are hurt and you're in your tackle depth. It's just you're not going to be able to find a lot of options out there.
Nobody trades good offensive linemen. So it's just not happening.
Taking a swing on a guy with a little bit of playing time, and some upside is worth it for the Chargers, I think. Yeah,
I'm with you, man.
And then lastly, this one, defensive back Jasir Taylor. I don't know anything about Jasir.
I have his PFF stuff up in front of me. They shipped him out there. I don't know. He seems fine. He's only played actually 16 snaps this year.
Conditional.
Jets just must want some depth. He's played mostly slot snaps in his career, so it's just a slot corner move that can be depth for them out there. I can't pretend to know if the Chargers slot cornerback depth is being challenged, but that would be the message from that trade.
The implication.
So,
they didn't have to give up much. That's a 2028 conditional 7th. That's about as little as you can give up in a trade, I think. 3 years out and a conditional 7th. So that's like
Chargers injury luck is on the slot, and they're just looking for like, can we get some warm bodies in here that have played NFL snaps? And I get it, man. Those guys with the franchise quarterback, they've got a decent record. They got a chance to win the division. Still, you should do things like that to try to bandage some of those injury spots. So fine by them. You fine by them. But yeah, other than the huge, massive Jets choices, it wasn't all too collectively NFL league-wide crazy. Like the Chiefs didn't make a deal. The Bills kind of thought the Bills might make a deal. They didn't make any trades. There's a lot of teams that are, maybe the Steelers might make something happen because they're, still at the top of the division. I know that yesterday Draymond Jones was a trade that went over to the Ravens, but couple big decisions by the Jets. Kind of the biggest part of the whole thing.
Yeah, the Ravens traded for Draymond Jones, conditional 5th round pick that could become a 4th round pick to Tennessee. And then Jalen Phillips to the Eagles was the day before. And then also Jair Alexander away from the Ravens to the Eagles. So just a couple of small deals. And the Jets also, Michael Carter out the door as well to the Eagles.
Yeah, Jets are like, hey, man, we're going to reboot the defense and see what happens. We'll lean into trying to get more dynamic offensive talent. So
I actually like the trade for Mechie. Mechie was a guy that I would have been interested in bringing in.
Yeah, something cheap. Yeah, I would have had no problem if they made that move. Obviously, none of us are like, oh, they didn't get it. But I would have been like, I like that decision to try to take a swing on a player like that. Yeah, I would have been okay with it.
So that's it for the trade deadline. I mean, teams making moves that a lot of that makes sense. Some kind of shocking stuff there with the Cowboys, interesting move, and one to monitor here with the Jets, and especially in correlation with how the Browns move.
Totally,
2 different approaches to teams with very similar records, and in different places age-wise and financially, but I think the Browns had less options where they're at right now. But it feels like, it feels like that it's going to be kind of like held up to each other, what the Browns are doing and what the Jets did here.
I'm with you. I'm not bothered by it, right? I expected a little more, but you got to remove emotion from it as best you can and realize that the players they're trying to ship out, they just didn't have too much appeal, and that if they didn't get something fair for guys they still think can help next year, you're not going to make that move. So makes sense. I'm fine with it. It was glad the Jets got eager, because it would have been a really boring trade deadline if they didn't get eager to make some shakeup happen. So we at least got that. I'm going to shift over and talk about one that has already been done, the midseason rookie reviews, and then I have Carson Schlesinger going up tomorrow. Finally, my life has calmed down in this household a little bit, so we'll talk about Carson too. And I promise we'll get through the rest of the rookies this week in a hurried fashion for you on the bye week, because we want to keep seeing how they're developing. So, that's it for today on this side of things with Brad and I. Stick around after the break, and we will get over to those midseason rookie reviews right now.